Hi, I'm Rose from Austria. Before I tell you my story, please like and subscribe to MSA. I grew up in a huge mansion with my parents, grandparents, aunt, and lots of maids. We were rich, and my life was practically perfect, especially because I had the best mom ever who spoiled me rotten. Like when I was 6 and went to school wearing a fairy costume for a month. It was against the dress code, but somehow Mom convinced the teachers to make an exception. And when I was 8, I wanted a big dollhouse. So Mom got one constructed in our backyard big enough to fit a family of humans. I loved having Mom around, and she was a very kind and sweet person, but she was a bit peculiar. You see, Mom was fascinated by everything paranormal and thought she could communicate with ghosts. No one in our family thought it was a big deal, till one day when I was 10, Mom and Dad had a fight and Dad left. Who needs humans when you have a million ghosts to keep you company?
You're insane! Go hug your invisible friends! I'm out of here!
After Dad left, Mom became obsessed with her hobbies and spent hours locked in the room talking to herself. But one night, she lit too many candles and caused a fire which burned down half of the mansion. My grandparents were furious and asked Mom to leave. Mom and I moved to a smaller place, and even though we had enough to live comfortably, it was nothing compared to our life before, and it really affected me. Look, I bought you a new doll.
This is a rag doll, Mom, and it's so scary. Take that away from me.
But sweetie, I made this for you.
Well, you wouldn't have to waste your time if you didn't burn down my old toys.
Mom looked at me sadly before leaving, and I felt bad, but I was a kid, and I really missed my old life. I thought Mom would eventually give up her obsession and we would move back to our old home, but she only got weirder. Like when I was 12, a weird lady showed up at our door offering her fortune-telling services. Wow, the universe must have sent you. Please, come in. Mom and the lady sat down for a reading, and halfway through, the lady started communicating with spirits. The table started shaking, and Mom looked amazed. What do the spirits want?
Oh, they're upset. So very upset. You burnt their old house down, and now they're homeless.
They are invisible, right? They can stay in the White House and no one will know.
Child, you make fun of spirits? How dare you?
The weird woman got up and started jumping on one leg, chanting things. Mom joined in too, and the whole thing just looked ridiculous. Anyway, soon after, she left, and the next day, Grandpa showed up for a surprise visit, and Mom told him about what had happened. Now, I just need to find a way to please the spirits and…
I can't believe you're still looking into these things. I wanted to give you another chance, but you haven't changed a bit.
Saying that, Grandpa left and Mom cried all night. Why can't you just let these spirits go, Mom? I really want to move in with Nana and Papa. I miss them. No way. You saw what happened with the medium. I'm not putting them in danger again.
So you'd rather make us live like street rats? Come on, Mom. This is not real. That weird lady, medium, whatever, she was tricking you.
I'm not discussing this, Rose. Go to your room. That's when I realized the only way to get Mom out of this paranormal world was to convince her that there was no such thing as ghosts. While she spent time and money on psychics, seminars, and meditation retreats, I did research to debunk her beliefs. There is no scientific basis for crystal healing. The Bermuda Triangle has finally been explained. Most ghost activities can be traced back to change in temperature, electromagnetic interference, or…
Mom, are you listening?
Oh no, it's the unholy hour. I can't talk now. Bye! Mom just wasn't paying attention to me, and things got worse when one day I invited a couple of friends over for a sleepover. Everything was going well until it was nighttime, and Mom walked into my room with candles and crystals. It's a full moon tonight. Tell me, girls, when was the last time you got a cleanse? She forced me and my friends to sit in a circle while she smoked us with incense. I was so embarrassed. Of course, nobody came to my place after that, and while I couldn't have my friends over, psychics kept showing up at her door. Some of them even became Mom's friend and stayed for days with us. I'd given up hope until one day while I was going home, I heard some kids talking about a dare at the local haunted house, and it gave me the perfect idea. If I exposed this local ghost story, then maybe Mom would finally believe me. I asked the kids if I could join in, and they agreed. And that night, while Mom was asleep, I quietly got into the house with the rest of the group. But 5 minutes into the exploration, I heard a blood-chilling scream from the upstairs room. I followed it, only to discover one of the boys panicking.
There's something here! It knocked that vase! It's a ghost!
That's not a ghost, it's a mouse. I picked up the mouse by its tail, and the boy let out a wilder scream. He went running downstairs, and the rest of the group saw him, and they all started running around like headless chickens. One by one, they all ran outside until I was left alone. So I sat on a dusty couch and took a nap. The next day, word spread around the school that I stayed in the haunted house all night, and I became popular overnight. Soon, other people wanted to join me on my ghost adventures, and so we formed a club. And by the time I was 15, my paranormal investigation club was super popular. I had a lot of fun with it and solved all kinds of stuff, including some alien and Bigfoot sightings. Life was somewhat okay, except Mom was still a lost cause. One day, Mom and I were coming back home from a shopping trip when we noticed a new store. Mom walked in, and I was talking to the woman who was running the place when a boy around my age walked up to me.
Bonjour. Can I show you something? Those stress lines do not look good on a pretty face like yours. How about some incense for meditation? An amethyst pendant to relieve stress?
No thanks. Oh, Rosie, that's a cute pendant. No, it's not. It's hideous. Let's go home, Mom. I stormed out of the store without waiting a second longer. The bad luck seemed to follow me because the next day at school, I ran into the same guy from the store. He was surrounded by some girls and was selling them weird little bottles. What's that?
Oh, hello, sweet Rosie. You smell divine. I'm Ed, by the way.
And I'm Rose for you. What did you give them?
Love potions to tingle the romantic bones that are clearly missing from your body.
Shut up! You're scamming innocent girls. I'll have to report you to the principal.
No, por favor. Why don't you see for yourself first? If they don't work, you know where to find me.
Saying that, Ed winked at me and left. What a weirdo. Anyway, I agreed to wait a couple of days just to see if the stupid potion worked, and to my surprise, all the girls who used that got a date with their crush. I couldn't believe it. I had to talk to Ed and found him in the cafeteria cracking a raw egg in his salad.
I was waiting for you, pretty Bella. Some salad?
No thanks, I don't want that. Tell me about the love potions.
It's a trade secret, obviously.
Or maybe that potion gave them a bit of confidence and everything else was pure luck.
You can't prove that, can you, Shelly?
I was furious. Now that I think of it, all of those girls were very pretty, but a bit shy. Of course it worked. A few days went by, and I decided to avoid Ed. I already had my fair share of weird with Mom, and I didn't want another piece of work in my life. Soon enough, it was time for college. I was sorting out my college application one night, and Mom walked into my room with the amethyst pendant from the other day. What's this for? It's pretty. It reminds me of your eyes. This was kind of expensive, Mom. Are you sure you can afford this? Of course I can. And while we're talking about money, I have something to talk about. That's when Mom told me that she actually had nothing saved for my college and suggested that I should ask my grandparents for my college fund. There's no way they'll listen to me, but I'm sure they'll help you. So all these years, you didn't consider that I had to go to college? How could you be so selfish? I gave you everything you need, and I know your grandpa won't hesitate to give you more money, but do you think I have any chance of getting more funds for my research? I can't believe you're still thinking about that, Mom. You're seriously crazy. I wish I could have just left with Dad. Don't use that tone with me, Rose. Actually, I'd rather not use any tone with you. Shut up. And don't forget, I'm your mom. You're the one who forgot. Saying that, I just stormed out of the house. I needed to clear my head. So I went for a walk around the neighborhood, and I felt like someone was following me. I turned around and saw Ed right behind me. What are you doing?
Trying to make sure the girl I like is safe. What are you doing roaming around the streets at this hour?
Wait, did you say that you like me?
Well, obviously the love potion doesn't work on you, and neither do my hints. So I'll say it directly. Yes, Rosie, I like you. Now tell me what's wrong. You look stressed.
Ed and I sat down, and I ended up telling him everything about my life, including my recent conversation with Mom. I was pleasantly surprised to see that he was a good listener.
That's tough.
I don't understand why Mom is so focused on the supernatural instead of trying to mend things with her family. It could really make our life easier, you know?
Maybe, but in her head, it's all real. I'm sure she has her reasons. She actually told my mom a while back how she heard knocking and scratching in the walls, threatening messages appeared overnight, and she saw a white figure in her room once. This happened for years.
Oh, please. It was probably just her imagination.
Whatever it was, she's your mom, and you're the only person she can fall back on.
Maybe Ed was right, but I couldn't just forgive Mom so easily. Being weird is something, and being an irresponsible mom is something else. The next morning, I took a bus back to the mansion, and it was completely changed. As I walked towards the entrance, I was filled with nostalgia for my childhood. Then suddenly, I saw my Aunt Angelica, Mom's older sister. She saw me, came running, and pulled me into a hug. "You've grown so much, my pretty Rose." "So have you. I mean, you look amazing, Auntie. How have you been?" "I'm good. But why are you wearing these weird clothes? Come in. Let me set you up with a beautiful dress." Aunt took me inside, gave me a bunch of things to eat, and as we sat down, I told her all about Mom's spending problems and how now my studies were at risk. "That's terrible. I knew my sister was weird, but I would have never thought she was this irresponsible. Don't worry, child. I'll take care of everything." I was over the moon with joy, and I immediately got to work sending out applications. Ed helped me a lot with filing my applications, and the more I hung out with him, the more I liked him. He was a bit weird, but at least he was there for me, unlike Mom, who still refused to come back to the mansion. "I'm happy you're having a good time there, but I don't think I'm welcome there." "You won't know if you don't give it a shot. Isn't family more important than your dumb psychic research? Why can't you just listen to me for once?" "You have no idea what it means to be treated like a crazy person by everyone, including your own parents." "Stop playing the victim, Mom. You did this to yourself." Mom's face dropped, and I could see she was hurt, but I was so tired of her behavior, especially after seeing how amazing Aunt Angelica was with me. She had a very successful business and was willing to take me under her wing, and she spoke with Grandpa to renovate my old room. I was over the moon to get back to the mansion, wake up to breakfast in bed, take walks in the lush garden, and feel like a princess again. My college was nearby, and I even had a personal driver to take me there. Life was finally perfect, but I still missed Mom a lot. I only got to see her on weekends, and I tried my best to get her back home, but she wouldn't drop her stupid ego. Then one day, I was sorting out some old jewelry when I found the amethyst pendant Mom bought me a while ago. Suddenly, I felt my eyes well up. I decided to do something about the situation and turned to Ed for help.
Why don't you do what you're best known for? Solving paranormal stuff. You solved all the cases around here except that of your mother.
But that was years ago. How am I supposed to investigate that now?
You live in the mansion. Try looking around. Old artifacts, cold spots. Maybe something will turn up to prove that she was right, and her family will finally see that she wasn't crazy.
Even I'm not fully convinced with that, Ed. How will I convince others?
Have faith, pretty Bella.
Ed dropped me back home, and I got to work. I didn't expect to find much, but that night, I waited for everyone to be asleep and tiptoed out of my room. I spent hours searching around the place, looking in the library, around the hallways, outside the perimeter of the house, but there was nothing suspicious. I was returning to my room defeated when my nightgown got tangled in one of the statues in the corridor. I tugged on the fabric, but it bent the statue's arm, and a panel in the wall nearby started opening. What the freaking frogs? A hidden passage? I turned on the flashlight on my phone, started recording, and walked along the dark corridor, which led straight to Mom's old room. And suddenly, everything made sense. This door opened from the other side of the hall, so it was possible for someone to slide into Mom's room every night and make those weird sounds and even disguise as a ghost to freak her out. But who would do that? I was still lost in my thoughts when a flashlight blinded me, and what I saw blew my mind. Auntie? Rose, what are you doing here? Oh my God, it was you, right? You knew about this secret passage. Were you the ghost that haunted my mother? I saw her surprised mask fall, and an evil smirk appeared on her face. Well, what can I say? Your mom was always too stupid to figure it out. You probably took after your father. But why, Auntie? What did Mom ever do to you? She took everything from me. She was always the favorite child because she was younger and prettier. I did everything to get our parents' attention, but they didn't have time for me. I could still let go of that. But then, she married the guy I liked, and I knew I couldn't take it anymore, and worked out a plan. All I had to do was to show everyone how crazy she was, and she was stupid. She actually fell for it. You were in love with Dad? Please tell me you didn't have anything to do with their divorce. I may have given him evidence of your mom cheating, and while she was busy moping around, I amped up the hauntings, but the fire and everything were all her. You hated Mom, but you helped me? Why would you do that? To take away the last thing she had, of course. Wow, you're evil. Wait till I tell Grandpa. You can try, but you won't if you want the funds for your college to keep coming. Oh, don't you worry. I've learned a trick or two of my own. After all, we are related by blood. I waved the phone in front of my aunt while she looked at me in shock. She tried to snatch it, but I was fast and ran out of the house. The next day, I asked Mom to come over and showed the video to her and my grandparents. They were shocked and decided to banish my aunt right there and then. I am so sorry, Mom, for never believing you. I didn't give you a reason to trust me either, sweetie. So I guess it's a new start for us both. My grandparents apologized to Mom and sent my aunt away to the ancestral cottage in a far-off village. They asked Mom to move back in, but she just looked at me with sad eyes. I wish you could have trusted me instead of thinking I was crazy. It will take a while to forgive you guys. But Rose, I leave it up to you.
It's okay, Mom.
Let's go home. My grandparents felt guilty and kept funding my college. Mom and I still live in our small house, and we were closer than ever. Ed and I started dating officially, and he offered me a job at his store.
But at one condition. You'll have to wear this pendant. Only if you want to, of course.
Have you spiked it with a love potion?
I don't think I have to.